Hello.
Is that Jason Rebello?
Speaking.
Hi, it's DJ Gloss from Sound Fusion Radio. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, very well indeed, thank you. Very well indeed. And
Excellent.
have I caught you at a good time?
Yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for agreeing to do an interview with us. That's very nice of you. And welcome to Sound Fusion Radio. And if you don't mind, I'll start asking you some questions.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Right, I was thinking where to start, really, and I thought, well, a good place to start is you were once described as the youngest man in jazz. Do you remember how you felt about that at the time?
Well, it's funny, isn't it, when you're young, you don't really know any different, do you? So I didn't. It was quite exciting, because I was sort of doing gigs. I played at Ronnie Scott's when I was 16, I think, or 17, and
wow.
So it all happened really quickly at that age. But it's only afterwards when you look back on it and you sort of think, wow, that was amazing. But at the time, I didn't know anything else, so it just seemed normal.
Incredibly nice thing to be said. And you've done incredibly well with jazz awards as well. Several, a couple that spring to mind are the Perrier British Jazz Award and the Pat Smythe Award.
Yep.
How did you feel about those?
Well, again, I mean, that was it was very exciting. Those times, because that was that was sort of, I was in my 20s then. But it was just a feeling that I felt quite sort of supported. Yes. By the jazz world. It did feel quite, it felt really good, actually. I enjoyed that. There was a few other awards as well. And it was all, it made it quite, it was fun. It was a fun time, absolutely. And it's also, nice to be sort of given, to be respected for your work, really. So, yeah, it's great.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and your work itself sort of speaks for itself. I mean, you had 3 albums between the age of 21 and 25. I mean, in the jazz genre, that's pretty unique, to be honest, I would think. I mean, you must be incredibly proud of that at such a young age as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've felt, I mean, actually, throughout my career, I felt quite fortunate, think life's been quite good to me, really. So I mean, I actually did about 5 albums up till about 27.
Wow.
Which is that was great. And then after that, to then have the chance to work with Sting for about 6 years was another very fortunate sort of thing to happen. So yeah, I feel quite grateful.
I'm not surprised. I mean, you say Sting, but I mean, if we add to that Jeff Beck, Omar, Chaka Khan, Peter Gabriel, and then jazz luminaries like Wayne Shorter, Art Blakey, and Branford Marsalis. I mean, that's a heck of a list.
Yeah, no, I've been very, as I say, I mean, I feel quite. I've been quite blessed in a way to have the chance to work with all these people. Yeah, it's been quite a ride.
Wonderful. So, any sort of memorable moments with Sting that you'd like to tell the listeners about?
I think, the memorable moment for me is because he's quite sort of conscious of his diet and everything. Yes. And I'm not quite as good, and I sometimes do indulge in junk food. And I actually got him to try a filet-o-fish from McDonald's once, which he didn't really like.
It wasn't his thing then, I take it. Not so good with a fillet of fish, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So where did it start with you with piano? I mean, what sort of age and what sort of moved you onto it?
Well, we had at home. We had a piano in the house, and I was just always used to be curious and go and play it. And I used to make up my own things and improvise. When I was about 4 or 5, although I didn't know then what improvising was. So I learned classical because in those days that's really what that's all you could learn, you know. So I did the classical piano thing, and then got into jazz when I was about 13 or 14. Wow. Because of my music teacher at school, who was into Dave Brubeck and Take Five and all that, you know.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's amazing how those sort of school influences do sort of get you. You know, it's a similar reason for why I am doing what I do, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's when I guess other people show an interest in what you're doing, and then that kind of makes you build on that. So do you remember your first ever sort of public performance in front of an audience? Do you remember what that was?
Well, it was, I mean, I did, when I was younger, I did sort of piano competitions and things like that.
Yeah.
But I suppose the one, actually, it wasn't quite the first performance, but it was close to the first. But we had a group at school when we were about 15,
yeah.
And we went in for the Streatham Youth Club talent competition, and we won. And that was a very memorable moment, because at that age it's so exciting. You know, yeah. This is your first sort of steps into the world of music, and I mean, since then, you know, I've played in front of sort of 200,000 people, but in some ways, those first early experiences are kind of more exciting, because you just have no idea what's ahead.
No, that's lovely, and of course, actually having sort of walked away with winning the competition as well at that young age, it's incredibly special, and you know, every moment, and I hear this from artists a lot, every moment, no matter how big or small, is special in its own way with an artist.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's lovely. So, what were your musical influences as a teenager? I mean, what were you listening to? Were you into the sort of pop scene? What was your thing?
Yeah, I was into. I mean, I actually did like the Police, funnily enough.
Yeah.
So I was into all the normal, pop music at the time. But I also I'd got into jazz at about 13 or 14, and I had a very good friend at that age who introduced me to a lot of sort of soul and R&B music. So I got into Earth, Wind and Fire and Luther Vandross and Stevie Wonder and all that, Grover Washington, some of the jazz, sort of jazz funk or jazz fusion artists like David Sanborn, Bob James. But one of my, we were talking about sort of moments that you have in music. I went to see Herbie Hancock at the Hammersmith Odeon, which is now obviously the Apollo. And I think I was 15. I went with my friend Patrick Lahar. We were at school together. He's a great saxophone player.
Wonderful.
And I just remember seeing this concert, and just at that moment, I was so blown away by it, by Herbie's playing and his music. I just, at that moment, thought, I don't know what's happening here, but I just want to be part of this somehow. And I think it's probably those moments, that fuel you for quite a long time afterwards, because you remember how amazing it felt, and you sort of want to be part of that again.
It is amazing, because you feel how wonderful it feels to be in the audience, and then you kind of try and experience how wonderful it would be to actually be in the lineup. And I know that feeling well. And
yeah,
I think that's the thing that keeps you burning, isn't it? And at a young age, definitely. I remember sort of watching DJs at a young age and thinking, you know what, I'd love to be up there doing that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean I do quite a few concerts for young people. I've been around to schools and things, because I think that, one of the best inspirations to sort of, say, take up a musical instrument, well, whatever it is, if it's sports or painting or anything, it's just you see someone who's good at doing it, and you see that right in front of you. I think that can often make you think, yeah, I could do that too, and that can be a real inspiration.
Yeah, you know, and I think as well over the years, you know, sort of with any musical instrument, it can be incredibly cool or incredibly uncool to learn it from it. You know, when you're young, I think the piano is one of those that is incredibly cool. The keyboards, you know, people see that whole thing as being incredibly cool nowadays, and I think that helps too.
Yeah.
You know. Especially with the influence of the young people, they see a guy like you, a successful pianist, and they think, you know what, I wouldn't mind some of that, you know. That, and if they've got that talent, you know, it pushes them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I hope it's inspiring to people, and also I do sort of feel in this day and age that I feel a bit sorry for young people, because a lot of the people that they would look up to are not necessarily that good at anything now. You know, fame seems to be not that bothered about whether you've actually done something or achieved something. So I think it's good in this day and age to have something positive, Definitely. You know, for young people to, you know, aspire to.
Definitely. I definitely hear what you're saying there, that's for sure. That's for sure. And so, I mean, live gigs for kids and schools and things like that. But I noticed you sold out this year at Ronnie Scott's again, another sellout concert.
Yeah.
How lovely was that?
Yeah.
Always.
Well, it's great. I mean, I've been playing at Ronnie since I was, you know, 16 or 17. So it's always a great place to go back and play, and it's great. Yeah, it's great to sell it out too.
Absolutely.
You feel wanted and loved, which as you get older is quite nice.
Well, definitely. Yeah, I can relate to that too. That's for sure. and I'm a little bit older than you are, so no figures will be mentioned during the interview, though.
No, probably better not to.
Absolutely true. So, coming to the new album. Wondered if we could have a chat about some of the tracks on the album there. We sent it. It's released today, isn't it? It's today, the release?
Yep, it is, yep.
So do you want to tell the listeners all about it and what it's called and where they can go and buy it?
Yeah. Well, the title of the album is Anything But Look. That's the title. And basically the album is 6 vocal songs with different guest vocal artists. So Omar does a track, Will Downing from America does a track, Sumaju, great singer who's living in London called Sumaju, has done a track, Anthony Black has done a track, a young singer from who's actually studying at the Royal Academy called Jacob Collier has done a track.
Wonderful.
So it's sort of Joy Rose, who's a great singer that I've worked with for many years, has done a track too. So it's sort of for me, it's a sort of exploring the vocal side of things a bit in terms of writing lyrics and expressing those sorts of things. And then also there are 4 instrumental tracks, which obviously have no lyrics. And the sort of the title is really just about, I suppose what I'm trying to convey through the title is that we, as human beings, you know, we're often, you know, thinking that things might be better next year when I get my career sorted out, or, you know, when I do something or other, when I improve, and it's just basically saying that rather than look at how we are and appreciate actually and enjoy what we have now, we have a tendency to do anything but look at who we are. So that's really what the title means.
That's a great title, and people are so much looking to the future for better times, and they forget about now. They forget about what's happening right now. And
absolutely, and I think it's an amazing time to be alive. You know, with all the problems we have, there are incredible, you know, amazingly wonderful things going on. So.
Absolutely, I fully agree with you. Looking down the tracks of the album, and I've given it a good listen, and I've just started off really with The Man on the Train. You know, again, lovely vocal. Who was the vocalist on that one?
Sumaju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way the sort of piano rides on that kind of Latin beat. It's got that kind of
Yeah,
beautiful kind of Latin-y beat feel with the piano kind of riding over it and the vocals just blending beautifully. You know, what was the sort of feeling on that track, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it's the basic thing is, as I'm really middle-aged now, so I'm sort of I wanted to write lyrics that are sort of honest and relevant to people, rather, sometimes you see songs that, the lyrics are just all nice or positive, but they don't actually sort of acknowledge what it's really like to be a human being. So for me, as a middle-aged man, you do sometimes think to yourself, I wonder how younger people see me, how do they see me? Because they must just see an old dad, sitting on the train. And I'm thinking, actually inside, I still feel like I'm 20, I don't really feel any different than I did as a kid. I'm still a kid inside, really, but I don't look like that on the outside. So it's just talking about that side of life, the sort of thoughts that people might have privately and not feel that they want to admit that or talk about it, or so it's that, really.
After hearing that description and knowing the song, I really get it. I really do. It's there, definitely, without a doubt. Without a pedal, I mean, fusion-esque. I mean, the feel of that is just lovely. That just says fusion all over it to me. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, well, it's I wanted to balance the album, so there's stuff I hope that people who maybe don't have a jazz background or understanding can really enjoy in a quite simple way. But then I also wanted to put stuff that's a bit more challenging and a bit more adventurous musically, so that hopefully people may listen to things that they wouldn't normally, because it's in a different setting, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I do exactly see what you mean. But then you've got the title track on the album, Anything But Look. It's got that it's got a really cool feel to it. I love the rim shot and the gentle piano. It's just got that sort of dreamy synth over the top as well. It's wonderful feel to that tune. I just love that. I mean,
oh, thank you.
Tell us a little more about that one. I'm intrigued.
Well, what's quite interesting is the synth that you mentioned is actually, it's my Mini Moog, which I bought, it must have been 25 years ago I bought it, and it's actually Ultravox's old Mini Moog.
Wow.
And over the last sort of 10, 20 years, technology has moved on a lot, and we've got lots of sort of synthesizers that you can have on your laptop, software synthesizers. And I've been using those quite a lot and other things. And I just suddenly thought, I wonder what the Moog sounds like. So I went in the garage, because it's been sitting there basically for sort of 15 years. So I went in and I thought, I'll see how it sounds. And I switched it on, and it just sort of started making crazy noises, like a sort of a squashed mouse or something. So I went and I took it to get fixed and got it back and played it. And I just thought, this actually sounds so amazing. It sounds so much better than all the other things I've been using, in the meantime. So I thought, I want to get playing this again. So basically, I've used it quite a lot on the new album, and I've been using it live, and it's great. It's like although it's an electronic instrument, it feels like a real acoustic instrument to play. So that's been fun for me.
Well, the Moog and the Mini Moog are an institution in their own right, really, and definitely can relate to what you're saying there, without a doubt. So many people do still use, that they want to use the Mini Moog. They want that sound.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
and the funny thing is, it's very, it's imperfect. It goes out of tune a bit. You've got to sort of constantly, you're sort of changing the settings and to keep it in tune, and it's sort of, it's not a nice, clean, computerized, perfect thing, but it just has so much character, and that makes it much more satisfying for me.
people say to me about about playing vinyl. We love it when you play vinyl because we love the pops and crackles. It's
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's
it is fun. Well, I mean, even nowadays, there's a sort of sometimes people don't actually put out CDs. It's just downloads, and I still think, maybe it's my age, but I still think there's something really nice about just having the thing in your hand, with all the artwork and the, it's just nice to have a whole
some
object
words,
type thing.
some
Yeah,
pictures,
like a record or
and
it's
actually,
great.
Yeah, I agree. And you feel like you are actually getting something for your money, something to keep. An MP3 is not quite the same. It's like you
can't see it, can you? It's sort of imaginary, isn't it? Really,
it's about as exciting as having a Word document.
Yeah, I'm releasing a new Word document.
So, I can relate to that totally.
Yeah.
Piano wizardry, I have to say, with a haunting vocal on Dark Night of the Soul. Wow!
Oh yeah.
That's a tune. And the vocal is extremely clever on that. I mean, and the way you worked it. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, yeah, the singer is she's called Alicia Carroll, and she's actually a friend of mine because I moved out to Bath in my 20s, so I've been living there since, and she lives nearby, and she's a classical singer and a classical singing teacher.
You can
and I
feel
just
that,
thought, I just thought it would bring something completely different to the album, and it was a bit scary because I've never really experimented with that. But I thought for this song, I wanted the song to be a bit sort of eerie, and kind of mysterious. And I was really pleased with the way it came out. It sort of makes me smile, and it's just quite nice. It's quite nice sometimes to go out of your sort of comfort zone and try something different, and especially nice if it works.
Well, definitely, and it is quite a sort of step aside from some of the other parts of the album, but it's the shock is a good one, and I think
good. I'm glad.
And I was just it's just not what you expect at all, and then it starts off and you look at the title Dark Night of the Soul, right? Okay, and you get the start, and then this vocal comes in, you think, wow, and then you're doing this wizardry on the piano, which just seems to just work around it, and it the whole thing. It's talk about sort of start, middle, and end. It's definitely a finished, wrapped up, and ready to go package. That one, I like it. It's great.
Oh, great! I'm glad you like that.
Yeah,
that's the controversial track for me.
Well, do you know, there's nothing like a curveball in an album. You need one. It's great. I love that. That's wonderful.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Is this how? Now that's a gorgeous slow track, isn't it? And
well, it was amazing having Will Downing on that. Because I
guessed it was someone like that. I'd actually made a note. Sounds a bit Alexander O'Neillish, but I hadn't.
Yeah.
I should have spotted Will Downing a mile away. I should have done, but now you've said it, definitely, without a doubt, wonderful.
Well, I met him when I was in my early 20s, and I did a couple of gigs with him, and he was just so kind of supportive and encouraging, and just a really great guy, basically. So I with this album, it's all everyone who's on it is a friend of mine or people that I've worked with, or so it's got quite a team of friendships really. And I was really sort of touched by moved by the way that he treated me then. So I just thought, I'll give him I'll give him a call and see if he fancies doing this. I didn't expect him to remember me, or it was quite a long time ago. And he was just really gracious and really enthusiastic, and I think he did a great job of it. And that was really very satisfying, actually, to have someone like that do a track. It was great, yeah.
It's a lovely track. The piano voice part of it. It's got that sort of gorgeous, slow kind of soul-y masterpiece about it. And you were talking about some of your influences from earlier, looking at things like EWF and people from the more sort of soul side of things, and that soul-y side of thing definitely comes through in this track.
Well, I think a lot of times what the things that you listen to as a teenager sort of, they kind of give you your musical identity, I suppose. And I find that I still like 80s music, it makes me smile still. So it was just nice, to have someone that sings in that style, rather than in the sort of modern...
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. Carry on in modern...
Yeah, well, just the way that R&B singing has changed now, I think it's quite refreshing to hear it, where it's a much more sort of less about lots of riffs and inflections and things. It's much more pure, if you like. I think that's quite refreshing.
I think so too. And when you think that most modern music nowadays is based on samples taken from tunes from the 70s and 80s anyway, it kind of gives you a good pointer as to it possibly was quite a good time for music, if you know what I mean. That for me is, a good pointer there. With immediate effect, the vocal, lead guitar, the drum rhythm complement, and the solid bass line. I mean, that definitely jumps out of you as well. I mean, that's a well-rounded track with your piano, and I think another one of perhaps my favourites from the album. Although they're all great tracks, but
oh, great! I'm glad you like that. Well, I think that to me the whole album has been. I've just gone with whatever when I was writing the music. Whatever ideas came in, I just said, I'm going to go with that. And that track, it's not sort of typical of anything I've really done before, because I haven't really done more of a sort of rock rhythmically. It's more of a sort of rocky kind of track. But I just thought, why not? Why not do it? And that, again, I think it sounds different. It's, it's like dark in a different way. It just sort of sounds a bit unusual. So it was fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I could talk to you for hours and hours about the tunes on here, and I'm guessing that I'm probably taking up loads of your time. But just one more track.
It's fine. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to talk to you too. But one of the tracks that really I just would like to say is New Joy. It's got that kind of great start. It's almost like a 70s cop theme thing, Love that. And then you got again, I'm a big fan of the rim shot, and it's got kind of that kind of jack swing kind of background to it. I almost expected Erykah Badu to start singing. It had that feel to it when at that point. Who is the vocalist on that?
Well, I think that track, apart from Joy's amazing singing, I think a lot of it is to do with Pino, who's playing bass, Pino Palladino, and he's done a lot of work with D'Angelo, among others.
Yeah.
But he really has that kind of, he has a really funky kind of deep bass sound and way of playing, and I think it really combined with the drummer Troy Miller, who also co-produced the album, and Troy is actually playing with Laura Mvula at the moment. So he's a really funky, great drummer. And I think the combination of those two gives it that sort of feel like the Erykah Badu sort of, rim shot.
Yeah, I use that as an example because of the rim shot. I'm a bit of a rim shot junkie, really. And
I like a good rim shot.
So, that kind of worked for me beautifully. So it's
great.
A great album, and I'm so glad released today, and we'll be giving it a good plug for you, because we obviously interested in it doing well. We love music to do well for artists, because for us it's got to be sustainable, and there's no point you guys spending all these hours doing it if you can't live because of it. It's so much of the sort of illegal side of music is just so appalling for artists, and people seem to go
yeah,
without care.
I think what's happened is that I think we've sort of educated people a bit mistakenly into feeling that music should just be free. And I think that's a mistake, because although lots of people who are not musicians benefit from that, it doesn't help musicians. And if there's no musicians, then there'll be no music. So I mean, one of the things is I'm actually selling the album direct.
Yes.
I mean, you can get it on iTunes and the other things too, but I'm also selling it direct and signing it, because I just want to try and, encourage people just to, to have the actual CD with the artwork and the leaflet and it's a whole package for me. And maybe it's my age, but I think, I don't think we have to completely go online and digital for everything. I think we can still enjoy, a bit of old-fashioned stuff.
Well, so many artists are going to vinyl as well now again, and are making a real sort of special limited edition on vinyl, which they're signing, and a CD that they're signing with artwork and some words. It's just nice to read a bit about the band, group, musicians. It's just nice to see
exactly. Yeah,
what,
I think that's absolutely right, and it's it's like buying a book. You're just buying a little thing that is sort of a package that captures the whole of what that, writer or, musician or whatever it is wants to say. And it's all there in a thing that you can actually have as an object. And I think that's still nice.
Well, if you would like to send us an email with a link to that, we're more than happy to put that under our Just Jazz banner. And
that would be great. Yeah, I mean, it's just basically...
Yeah,
it's just my site, basically. It's just jasonrebello.co.uk.
Fine. Well, what we'll do is, when I put your item up as a featured artist, I'll include that link as well. And then people can go to your site and hopefully pick it up directly from you. And then that way they'll get a nice signed copy rather than just an electronic download, which is...
exactly. Yeah. A Word document.
Or two.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a terrible thing to say, but it is the truth. So, what are you planning for the future for next year? Then, what's sort of next really for you, Jason?
I really want to just get the live sides of things going a bit more, because I've sort of been touring for the last sort of 12 years with Sting and Jeff Beck, and I haven't really been doing that much of my own gigs. So that's really my plan, is to, just do a lot more gigs. The band's sounding really good live and it's fun, and, I just want to do more of that. I'm actually just about to do a little tour with Madeline Peru.
Lovely.
For a few weeks, which will be nice. And then I'm doing one in Denver with Pee Wee Ellis in Germany. He's a saxophone player that was with James Brown.
Yes, yeah, wow. Yeah. That sounds like it could be fun.
So that'll be good. Yeah, it should be good. It'll be great.
Excellent, Jason. That's great. Well, I'm conscious of time. We've taken up well over half an hour of your time, which is absolutely lovely, and I can only thank you.
It's great to speak to you. Yeah, and thanks for listening to the record and having so much to say. It makes it much more fun.
Definitely. Jason, if there's anything else you'd like to say to the listeners, please do so now. But thank you ever so much. And it's been lovely to get underneath those tracks and hear your sort of interpretations, which I think fit lovely with them greatly. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, basically, I'm on Facebook. You can just look up Jason Rebello. And I also have a website, which is jasonrebello.co.uk. And that's Jason, Redello. And I also have a Twitter feed, which again is Jason Rebello. So you can find me there, and please feel free to drop me a line.
That's fantastic. Thanks very much, Jason. Well, Don't leave it forever. Talk to us again, because it's been great. And, when you got something, again, this album release is just out, but, there may be something coming up in the future you might want us to talk about. Please feel free to.
Okay, no, that's great.
Talk to us about
I've got a launch it's on the 16th of January.
Wonderful. And
a launch in East London, so.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe something near at the time would be great.
Yeah, definitely. Well, keep in touch with us and let us know what's going on there, and we can get behind it. That's wonderful.
Brilliant.
Okay. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. Great to talk to you and sort of meet you. Can you say meet you? Meet you on the phone.
Well, it is a meet-up, and thank you very much indeed. And
pleasure.
Yeah, we'll speak very, very soon. You have an absolutely wonderful day.
And you. Cheers.
Take care now. Bye. Bye.
Bye.